Generalizations thrive in the world of dating and gender-related content. However, how accurate are they? And which consequences do they have for dating and relationships? In this video, I'll take a closer look at these questions. Welcome back to the channel. First, a little about arguments. An argument consists of a claim, grounds for the claim, and a warrant, which is how a speaker gets from the grounds to the claim. There are different types of arguments, including the argument from generalization and the argument from classification. These two are predominant in the world of dating and gender-related content. At some point, you've probably heard someone say, all men are like this, or all women are like this. However, are such arguments reliable? The argument from generalization goes, what's true for the individual is true for the group or demographic the individual belongs to. The argument from classification goes, what's true for the group or demographic an individual belongs to is true for said individual. Let's see how these arguments play out in a random video. One of many videos with the same or very similar argument structures and messages.
I am 52, I'm divorced, and I want everyone to comment because I need some help. I would like to know why men do not approach me in public.
Oh, darling, that's an easy one. The answer is because you're a risk to all men, as are all women these days.
Technically, this is an argument. That's a claim. The woman in the video is a risk to men. The grounds are because all women are a risk to all men. The warrant then becomes, because all women are a risk to all men, the woman in the video is a risk too. Thus, this is an argument from classification. Grounds can become claims in new arguments with new grounds and new warrants. We see that next as the man in the video, I'll call him the commenter, gives grounds to the claim that all women are a risk to all men. Grounds from his perspective, that is.
You see, y'all decided to weaponize Me Too and file false allegation after false allegation against men, especially the ones who were dumb enough to approach you that you weren't attracted to and thus decided were somehow creepy. Add to it, you've all screamed time and again that you don't want us, don't need us, and you just want us to leave you alone. Then there's the absurd, ridiculous demands and expectations that you've all come up with. How you've declared millions and millions of men as unworthy simply because they're not 6 feet tall. How you've all said that any man who doesn't have a six-pack and millions of dollars in the bank shouldn't be dating, isn't allowed to date.
Just because a statement meets the criteria for an argument and type of argument, it doesn't mean that the statement's accurate or reliable. Statements like the ones in this excerpt are common in groupthink-based rhetoric, like this.
I'm going to tell you something right now. You are officially an astronaut.
Thank you so much.
How do you feel?
I feel super connected to love. It's about a collective energy in there. It's about us. It's about making space for future women and taking up space and belonging.
Celebrities and politicians use groupthink-based rhetoric for self-serving reasons, masking self-promotion and self-aggrandizement as doing something for the group or demographic they belong to. This type of rhetoric makes it easier for speakers to control the members of the group they claim to speak on behalf of, and it oversimplifies criticism. For instance, there's an element of indirect control here.
Against men, especially the ones who were dumb enough to approach you.
Groupthink-based rhetoric makes it easier to label people, in this context to say that men who approach are dumb, and makes it easier to use oversimplifying terms about men who approach and defend approaching, and thus go against the commenter's opinion. Like saying men who approach women are simps, knights, or whatever disingenuous tactics trending at the moment. Groupthink-based rhetoric establishes an us and them discourse, men versus women, or men who approach versus men who don't approach, which creates group identity. However, what are the many labels actually based on? They're based on generalizations, single cases or parts that are supposed to represent the whole. In this digital age, in which people spend a significant amount of their lives online, such cases are almost too easy to find, and because they're so easy to find, there'll always be an element of truth in what commenters say. For instance, yes, false allegations are a thing, and in my opinion, there should be tougher sentences for false allegations. And yes, there are people who only look at a person's looks, both women and men. However, something that's part of the truth isn't the whole truth, obviously. Thus, rhetorically and logically, there's a big leap from acknowledging these parts of the truth to saying that they're the reasons why men don't approach, and that they're the reasons why men don't approach the woman in the video. There could be many other reasons that might be just as superficial as the reasons the commenter mentions. A side effect of online dating is its literal superficiality, encouraging users to focus solely on someone's outer characteristics, as users customize everything to their liking, right down to someone's eye color. A superficiality which also characterizes platforms like Instagram and Facebook. The problem with generalizations is that they only leave room for so-called exceptions, which is the exact reason why some commenters generalize in the first place. Because who cares about exceptions, right? Who cares that lots of women date and marry men who definitely don't have a six-pack? Looking at the comments to this video, presuppositions and generalizations are predominant. She's actually asking, why don't wealthy male models worship me? That's the only kind of men that matter to women, one person writes. She said it right at the start, divorced. Who wants to be her next income source? Another person writes. However, it's impossible to know these things, as no one can read her mind, and no one knows if she even needs an income source. This is a testament to the power of the argument from classification and groupthink-based rhetoric. What's perceived to be true for the demographic is perceived to be true for the individual in that demographic, even though that doesn't have to be the case.
And you have the audacity to demand the world while offering nothing, literally nothing in return, and never showing a lick of appreciation or acknowledgement for anything a man does for you.
There's a certain irony in much dating and gender-related content, because the commenters frequently end up making just as big, and many times unsubstantiated conclusions, as the demographic they're criticizing for doing exactly that. He's talking about what all women are responsible for, according to him, while all women apparently make absurd demands.
Absurd, ridiculous demands and offering nothing, literally nothing in return.
The overused adverb, literally, doesn't make the generalization truer, offering nothing in return. What about having someone to talk to, support you, start a family with, and maybe even make you see certain things from a new perspective? This is why you delegate tasks and share burdens, and this is why you find someone who adds something to your life, and thus offers something in return.
And you all decided years ago that being toxic towards them and blaming them for everything that is wrong in the world, all while, of course, absolving yourselves of any wrongdoing or taking responsibility or accountability, well, that was the best way for you to go. Somehow that was going to make men want to be with you. Yeah, okay.
Again, there's no distinction between the individual and the agenda that the entertainment and advertising industry have had for years, which is indeed an us and them discourse concerning men and women.
I saw that people love to explain away a woman's success in the music industry. All of a sudden, people had doubts about my singing voice. Was I a little bit pitchy? This is just what happens to a woman in music if she achieves success or power beyond people's comfort level. Or have you ever heard someone say about a male artist, I really like his songs, but I don't know what it is. There's just something about him I don't like. No, that criticism is reserved for us. And let me just say that the definition of the toxic male privilege in our industry is people saying, but he's always been nice to me.
Let's stop saying that women are choosing to drop out of the workforce because of their families. That's wrong. It's wrong. The reason women in nearly every industry are not represented in powerful positions is because women are being discriminated against or retaliated against for hiring and for promotion. There's often a second harassment, and their reputations are smeared, their future hiring is jeopardized, and they are further harassed. So that is why our first action at Time's Up was to start the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund. We now have Time's Up chapters in tech, in finance, in advertising, in journalism. So what can you do? First, Money. Be embarrassed if everyone in your workplace looks like you. Today, almost all gynecologists are women. Be embarrassed if everyone in your workplace looks like you. If a man says to you that a woman is crazy or difficult, ask him, what bad thing did you do to her?
Swift and Portman's groupthink-based rhetoric is aimed at getting women to see themselves as group members, not as individuals. When people see themselves as members of a group, they're easier to upset and thus control. However, belonging to a certain demographic doesn't mean that each individual in that demographic wants the same, believes the same, and reacts the same. Far from it. The message in this video is like replacing one form of groupthink-based rhetoric with another, but you don't replace one set of generalizations with another set of generalizations. Ultimately, you're still creating an us and them discourse, still making it about men versus women. The rhetoric on these supposedly opposite ends of the spectrum is very similar.
You actually have the audacity to ask why men aren't approaching you. I mean, really? Seriously? Is it denial? Is it delusion? Is it an inability to comprehend the reality? I don't know, but at this point, I'm beginning to think it's all of the above.
Like the adjective dumb.
Against men, especially the ones who were dumb enough to approach you. Really?
Adverbs like really and seriously, along with the laughter and intonation obviously, are designed to make anyone who believes otherwise seem oblivious. This is another way for speakers to win arguments before they've sufficiently argued for the reality that they presuppose the existence of, and presuppose is easy to comprehend. Even though reality is more complex than generalizations made from a 10-second clip.
I am 52, I'm divorced, and I want everyone to comment because I need some help. I would like to know why men do not approach me in public.
As a side note, I find it strange how commenters so often react to content and make speeches about content that's obviously fake or satire, like this.
Gotta love the mindset of today's modern women, don't you?
I want a peaceful life, and I've decided to get myself in a relationship with like 3 different men.
Oh boy. I mean, we get it. She's got a roster full of guys and it's making her feel good. Well, for now anyway. She's going to be looking back and asking herself, did I do something wrong? But let me try and explain it one more time. Men have analyzed the ROI and realized it's all risk, no reward. And that, as I said earlier, there's literally no benefit to being in a relationship with you.
I often wonder what came first, men realizing this, or men thinking this because they've consumed so much content with repetitions of the same messages that they don't want to date or be in a relationship, like the following type of content.
That's just not us. If someone's calling us ugly, I guess we're ugly to them. That's their opinion. It's valid.
Prime example of why women get treated like children. Martin
offensive.
Donated $100.
If someone, like,
Street blonde, you are curt, confrontational, and you carry your life trauma heavier than your makeup. You're unattractive inside and out. Brian has a podcast to run. You don't recognize masculinity because your father is weak and a failure.
Ironically, this comment is what's actually immature. It's an irresponsible generalization from a single debate. And the second comment, which is an ad hominem, presupposes things that the commenter can't possibly know, what the woman's father's like. As comment sections show, when a message is repeated enough times, many viewers, especially if they're young and therefore more impressionable, will start to think of it as true, which will turn into preconceived ideas, groupthink. In this case, looking at women as group members, members of a certain demographic, and not as the individuals they are first and foremost. And the commenters write this after a debate in which the host, Brian, has taken things way too seriously and to an extreme, arguing for the sake of arguing.
You said you had a 5-year relationship, so you know how much you spent on your girlfriend, right?
I think I bought her dinner once.
Oh, but
I'm dead serious.
Was she ugly and fat?
No, she was thinner than you. How
Are you
about
calling me
that?
fat?
First off, we don't have the level of rapport for the jokes that you made to be appropriate. And you said, oh, she must be ugly.
I said,
she must be fat.
I said, was she? If you're dating a girl for 5 years and you only buy her dinner twice in 5 years.
In my view, you were being rude. And I told you to stop.
That's your opinion, and I respect that. And I apologize if you think I was rude.
It's not that I think you were rude. You were rude.
I don't even care enough.
Can you stop interrupting? Can you stop interrupting?
Good meeting you guys.
All right, take off. Later.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you
Drive
guys.
safe.
For more about this debate, check this video. Links in the description box below.
The bottom line, ladies, is this. You've all made the rules. You're all playing the game, the very same game you've played for decades now. And men have now realized there's no point in playing that stupid game anymore.
While it's true that there are games when you're getting to know someone, such as playful testing, much like the woman in this debate is testing Brian, at least initially, it's oversimplifying to reduce companionship, conversation, support, family, and so on to a game, especially because individuals aren't necessarily controlled by the group.
We're better off taking our ball and going home. Going home where it's safer, healthier, and far, far more financially rewarding. And where we'll finally get some peace. Sweet, glorious, blissful peace. Something we know we are never going to get from today's modern women.
If what he said is supposed to define the modern woman, many women aren't modern. What about the woman who wants to be a stay-at-home mom, isn't deceived by the slogans and agendas of large corporations, and is happy with a man who doesn't have a six-pack? What about the woman who has more, just as much money as her husband who was dumb enough to approach her and now has a family?
Against men, especially the ones who were dumb enough to approach you.
Reducing such examples to exceptions is the perfect way to make sure that you never have to change your presuppositions, which would be uncomfortable. This way you can keep reinforcing your beliefs, primarily or solely based on the online content you watch, and convince yourself that this is how reality is, even though it's not, or at the very least, that it's a lot more complex. What do you think about the debates and advice in dating and gender-related content? Let us know in the comments. See you next time.